Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grav, and welcome once again to another Rip Roaring Reds podcast. You're joining us about half an hour after the Manchester City game, where Arsenal have drew at the Etihad, 2 goals apiece. If it's the first time joining us, a pleasure to have you here. Please do give the channel a subscribe. Please do give this video a like, and please do in the comments below tell us what you thought about this Arsenal performance. But before we get into unpacking everything that happened during this game, we'll do what we always do. Rip Roaring review. Jason already said, so I want to hand over the baton straight to you because it's going to be your opportunity to maybe stew, vent. I don't know. Tell me where you're going.
I'm on a come down. Like every fan must be on a come down after that 50, 45, I don't know, 55 minutes. I don't know how long. Fergie time. I mean, they just got loads of Fergie time, right? Just so much Fergie time. Yeah, exactly. You're in Manchester. Add another 5. Yeah, I'm just on a come down right now. I can feel the tension in my head slowly releasing, the adrenaline failing out, and it sounds really weird, right? Because it's half an hour on, but I tensed up that whole game. I had the sound off on the telly. I was at times just wanting to close my eyes. You just had that. It's just one of those kind of games, right? Where if you're a neutral, it probably is kind of entertaining, but then also maybe it wasn't entertaining because we just put a wall up. But for the Arsenal fan, I mean, it's just a grueling, horrible, disgusting 50 minutes of football to have to watch, and you kind of squeamish, kind of like your eyes are just like, you don't want to look at it. You just keep looking away a little bit. Every time a corner went up, I had to put the sound on mute as it got louder in the ground. I just didn't want to hear it. Like tension in my head. And I'm still on the calm down. Am I happy? I don't know, to be honest. I'm undecided on whether that's a win or a loss or a defeat. Like, I know it's a draw, but what does it feel like? And I haven't processed it. I haven't got any feelings. There you go. That's my review. I'm done. That wasn't a very good review, but I'm still struggling to process. I'm losing my voice as well, as you can tell. I've been shouting at the television. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Feels a bit. It feels like we should have won it, and I think that 97th minute dagger hurts more than any before it. I think what makes it worse, I suppose, is lasting that long and conceding as late as we did. If we had conceded in like 50 minutes, maybe you wouldn't be as invested and as kind of involved in what that ended up being, because I think you would have just made your peace with it and it would have been done. We put on, and we're going to obviously get into such a gritty performance, one for the ages, that it might feel empty, but a huge point in the grand scheme of things at the moment. About 4 pods ago, I talked about we had Villa, Brighton, Spurs away, City away. And I said if we come out with 10 points from those 4 games, I'd be incredibly happy and incredibly chuffed. We would drop points somewhere. I think it was inevitable that we were probably going to drop points. Had you have reflected on it and thought they would be in Brighton and City? I think Brighton you might question, but City was probably the one where you're like, that's probably the one that we're going to. And we came out with 8 points out of 12, which I don't think is terrible. We didn't lose a game in that stretch of games. They are all tough games. And particularly Spurs and City both go away and come with 4 points out of 6, I think is an incredibly resolute Arsenal performances in there, considering the circumstances as well. You look at Erdegaard being out, you look at the Rice suspension. It's really funny because I'm looking ahead to Leicester now, and Trossard's going to be suspended. And as such, we're going to have to roll out Nwaneri. It has to be because he's got no other option. We'll see. He might do something crazy. But like I said, that whole game today for me, contextualized against a team that have got 115 charges, that have spent £300 million more than anybody else. It's about double our wages. They've got players on millions and millions of pounds across the board, and they just got absolutely shithoused. We put on an absolutely incredible performance. I know that you're saying you're processing, and I am too, right, Jace? But just like say, this is I tweeted at the second half that I think I texted you. I want the ugliest, dirtiest, most toxic Mourinho bus in the history of Mourinho buses. And the commentator has made a point of it at about 95 minutes. I'm sure that Jose would be in Turkey somewhere with a wry smile on his face watching that performance, because it was absolutely disgusting and absolutely horrible watch. And one I would not want to watch very quickly anytime soon. But it's a point.
Yeah, I'm not going to be putting the rerun, at least of the second half, on at all. But no, I see your point. It's a good point. I just really.
I think it makes it worse because you wanted 3. That was 3 points that we had. We were touching it. It was there. We were top of the league. We'd gone to those grounds and got the 10 points that I said we'd get. So close. So close.
Yeah, and the thing is, if they'd have dropped the 2 points as well, it would have been even better for us, right? Because it would have just changed the league table slightly. Yeah. Look, I'm not down in the dumps. I'm not unhappy, but I'm not as happy as I could be either. It's probably the way I'd probably.
True. You said about that first half, so let's break this game down. We're going to start with that first half because I do think that first half was like a game of 2 halves a little bit. There was elements of both control on both sides, and I do think it was a good first half and one that we'd like to look back on and remember considering the circumstances. Talk me, Jace, through that first. How are you feeling that first 15 minutes after Haaland broke through and scored that goal?
At that point in time, I was feeling like our attack and our midfield. I was feeling the note I made was actually at that point in time. It's going to sound very, after the way we did come back into it, it's going to sound very reactionary. But I was quite angry with the lack of investment in the transfer market in attacking players. I instantly went to my notes because I was looking at the ball that Savinho played through to Haaland. I was like, they've got Savinho. They invested Savinho this summer, Doku last summer, the season before, I think it was Grealish. They've got Foden. They've got De Bruyne when he's fit. They've got Gundogan, who actually really is, let's be honest, an attacking midfielder. He's never played at the base. And I just looked at all of that amount of talent and compared that with our talent. And I just feel like there's an overwhelming amount of riches in that position for them. And I just feel that when we do square up to them, I don't feel like we have goal scorers, but we don't have that creativity. We rely on one player, which is Odegaard, to unlock things. And I felt a lot of remorse and like anger at that point in time. The other thing I got to say is I rewatched it to make sure that I was not going to be basically laughed at for saying something stupid. But Saliba, I think, was at fault for the Haaland goal. I don't know if anyone's pointed it out. So I'm going to use my hands here for anyone watching YouTube. People on podcast, you're not going to see it. But if you imagine you've got Gabriel and Saliba holding their positions, Gabriel has got Partey just in front of him and kind of slightly stays left. But as he turns and Savinho gets the ball, he kind of comes in from the right into the middle slightly. And that movement from him is enough to allow Saliba to drop a shoulder and go back deeper rather than come towards Haaland. You see, if you watch it again, you'll see what I'm talking about. And that opens up that channel that Haaland ran into. So if Saliba hadn't stepped out, then Saliba would have got closer and made the challenge to Haaland, I'm sure of it. But he made the
a good read of the game then from Haaland, like an incredible run, an incredible read of the situation and the game itself.
Well, it was great from Haaland, but I think Saliba could have done better. That's the only critique I have for Saliba the whole game.
I'd agree on the critique of Saliba. I was actually going to rewind further back than that because I was going to say I think, and knowing what we know now, like I said, another term from me that's going to feel reactionary. Calafiori was on toast. He got completely done by Savinho and kind of just let him glide past him. It was very easy for Savinho to come inside and just drive forward and push that ball into. And I think Calafiori, granted, during the course of this game, proved his worth. Although I don't think he was the best defender. I think Timber was really good. Actually, I think our whole back four was really, really good. But yeah, genuinely, I don't think that should have happened. I think Calafiori should have done and dealt with him more. and that goal wouldn't have happened. But like I say, it did happen. By that time, for me, I thought we were stunned, and I think nobody, if I look back on the last pod that we did together, I said it was going to be 0-0, tight chess game. I don't think anybody expected City to go up this early in this game.
I don't know. Sometimes I just think it's different when we're away at City. I think all defensive history goes out the window. It's just a different game at City, and there's something about Arsenal's mentality at City as well. I wasn't surprised when I went in because we didn't start particularly well.
They had the grip of the game. They had the complete control of the game for the first 15 minutes. And the reason why I said we were stunned is because I felt that could have been it. There was a point there where it felt like we could lose control of the game. We could let it run away from us, and we could be basically beaten without even starting, basically. And I have to give this club a lot of credit because I think we stayed cool, we stayed calm, we stayed collected. I think we still played the way that we wanted to play. And in that first half, we did obviously manage to come back into the game. I know I've just gone in hard on Calafiore saying he got defensively done. I'm obviously then going to flip and say his finish, incredible finish, an absolutely incredible finish, the absolute techers. Just the way he knew it was in. He was already wheeling away to celebrate before it had even gone in. He was well into it. And Edison was well beat, well worked, and lovely to see such a good-looking guy get such a good-looking goal. I think we started to get back in the game, and I think we did deserve to get back into the game. I don't think I saw a goal coming like that, though. I don't know if you
didn't expect us to do that kind of goal at the Etihad.
And also come from our defenders. We talked a lot in our previous pods. You talked about attacking prowess and not signing the players that maybe we could sign. Again, our goals are just coming from our defenders, and they can do it all. They can do worldies as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, who needs another attacking creative midfielder?
Yeah, just put our defenders all in the box. Well, let's talk through this because obviously Man City had a warning from the first corner. And they maybe got away with one. I think they had, was it Doku on Gabriel for the first corner?
Oh, yeah, he lost him. He's in second. I mean, it was barely marking him.
Well, I can't say that when they swapped it out, it was much better. Talk me through
it. There's just, it was Walker trying to get under Gabriel's skin by that kind of consistent tap, 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 tap. And then Gabriel just sold him a dummy. He went one way, dropped the shoulder, went back the other way. And it was just beautiful to see Walker just especially after the continuous intent of trying to aggravate him and wind him up and just not succeeding. And then the ball was on a plate. It was it was an amazing ball. And then the header was pitch perfect. Another masterpiece from the set pieces again. And I guess that's what we are now. We play for corners. That's how we score.
Well, I think someone made a point of this because I think there was, if you don't give away silly corners to us, and I don't think I haven't looked up the stats, but I guess to say in the first half we probably had about 3. We've usually had a lot more. I think City did restrict us and try not to play for as many corners as they possibly could because they know that's where the danger comes from. And they had, like I said, they had warnings and they didn't adhere, didn't listen to them, and they got their just desserts. And I think we really were resilient. I didn't think we were going to come back into this when we went 1-0 down. City are not a team that go 1-up that early and fall behind. It just doesn't happen. And this is why my head's very much in a more frustrated camp because there was a lot made in the build up to this game, and you can see a lot of the stats that Sky put on in the warm up was the fact that Arsenal haven't trailed away from home since the beginning of 2024, I think it was. City haven't lost at home for God knows how long. I think it was 600 days or something, wasn't it? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember either, but it was a
lot.
But
it felt very, very Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant-esque, the immovable object versus the, it's just something had to give, and it did obviously give, and I'm so chuffed of how we kind of came back from going 1-0 down.
it's all that effort, right? That we just put in the whole game just to.
And that is frustrating. I get. Is there anything you saw from when we got the first goal with Calafiori, the second goal from Gabriel? Is there anything in that where you thought we could take the game by the scruff of the neck?
I do think that I didn't. I thought we might get back into it. I didn't think that we would be pulling the game at the scruff of the neck. I didn't. It just we don't tend to do that too much. At least, especially in the first half of the season as well, with any kind of game. We've been playing a certain way. Feels like we always keeping plenty of gas in the tank because there's a large volume of games. So we play to win a certain way. I think we talked about this last podcast. I wasn't expecting us to put the game by the scruff of the neck, and I was expecting us maybe to get an equaliser from a corner. I wasn't expecting much more than that. It's a very boring answer for you, but it's the reality of how we're playing.
It's the product. I agree with you. I don't feel that we're setting up and have set up in such a way that would, put this game to bed early.
I mean, Saka was. I mean, the fact that he was the player that got taken off doesn't surprise me, because the one credit to Gabby Martinelli is he runs a lot, and we needed a runner when we were down to 10 men. And so Saka's then the person you have to sacrifice.
Well, let's talk about the red card then. We've not talked about our feelings on it either way. I'll let you talk about it first, Jason. Tell me, well, go into it. Do you think it was a red card? What do you think? How do you break that down? Because I've seen very differences of opinions online so far.
I think it's stupid from Trossard, to be perfectly honest, knowing the history of the last couple of weeks and how, regardless of everything, we tend to be, I don't know if we're intentionally a target, but to us fans, it feels like we're a target. And it feels like there's a lot of inconsistency that seems to never go away. And I would agree with that. Like, how many balls being kicked away have we seen since Deck's red cards? So it is completely inconsistent. Even in this game, there's an example, Doku. It wasn't the worst kick of a ball away ever, but it still didn't go.
Declan Rice.
Yeah. So I think from Trossard's perspective, the answer is just don't kick the ball away. I just
because I don't think I'm not too sure. Was the yellow for the kicking the ball away, or was it for
I confirmed it was the kicking the ball away.
Okay.
They said at half time, which is what made me even more furious, because that was like, like, just don't do it. Just don't do it. On the other hand, I think that because they apparently Trossard thought they were ringing the whistle for halftime, but they weren't.
It's like Van Persie was
in the new
camp many years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Which reminds me of that a little bit.
I don't think I've not got really much to add on the red card. I think it was silly by Trossard, but the one big thing is the inconsistency. I want a written apology from Howard Webb. We're never going to get it. No, actually, that's bullshit. I'm talking absolute rubbish. I don't want a written apology. I'm fucking fed up of his apologies. Every season, we apologise. We lost the ball there. We should have done better. It's great. Can you give us the points then? No. So I don't know what to say here.
What do you think? Are you talking about just the inconsistency of how they're applying the rules? Is that what you're kind of frustrated about?
Yeah, just mistakes, errors, inconsistency of applying the rules, VAR, all of it. They're just not fit. I don't think half the refs in the league are fit enough to ref in the league. As I think I've said this before, I'd go to all the best leagues in the world, pick the best refs, give them the most money, and bring them all in. Have a diverse set of referees. I would. Hey,
look, you're preaching to the choir, Jace. I've got nothing to say to you that's going to disagree with what you said.
It's just bollocks. I'm so wound up by it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's silly by Trossard. I agree with you. I think this is the thing. I wasn't clear on whether or not it was the challenge or it was kicking of the way. If it was kicking of the way, it frustrates me a little bit more. But I kind of look at it in a similar vein. We talked on the last pod about the Martinelli double yellow card. I kind of look at that situation like he's seen the challenge and then he's seen the kick away, and it's kind of like he's grouping the two together to give it a yellow rather than seeing them as two separate incidents and maybe then saying both of them are not enough, but when you put them together. Maybe they are, but like you, it's the inconsistency that is so frustrating. There was a foul by Haaland on Saliba, nothing, absolutely just dicked him, went straight through him. Kick of the way by Doku, like you said, nothing. Again, like I say, you can argue, it wasn't enough in it to delay the restart or anything else. Declan Rice's was not either. Let's be honest, there was no ball on that they were playing for in that situation. They crowded the ref. They made a big deal last season about only the captain can talk to the ref. Everyone else needs to go away. Asking for cards again. It's boring, is what it is, and it's incredibly frustrating because, like I say, I think Trossard deserved to get sent off. Should have been sent off. I've got no qualms with that. Fine, silly boy, shouldn't have done it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the referee. These are not mutually exclusive things. The referee can do better. Can take emotion, can take sting out of this game, and can apply the rules fairly across things. And this is my biggest bugbear, particularly just with this game in the context of this game, is City. They get softest. When was the last time you can recall City having a call that VAR didn't get, or some kind of thing that you weren't sure? Could have been a sending off, could it not been a sending off? They never get those, like the last one I remember against us, Kovacic, that foul. He should have been sent off, and wasn't. And they just don't go. Nothing goes against them. They get all the 50-50s, they get all the soft decisions, and they get let off. And like I say, I can count probably on two hands over the last two seasons the amount of situations that we've had that, yes, you could argue it's Arsenal fans being Arsenal fans and arguing because it's us. But I look at Newcastle, I look at Declan Rice, I look at those kind of situations, and we get the back end of those calls. We don't get the rub of the green. And this is just another one that we don't.
Mikel obviously shouldn't have been picked to ref the game anyway.
You don't choose because they're all shit. Let's be honest. They say he's the most senior and the best in the country. He's just as bad as the rest of them. They're all bad.
I mean, I'm going into the Arsenal fan conspiracy theory now. But we've already talked about the fact that he's already reffing the UAE for the City group. So
yeah, I mean, it's a little boys' club. It's corrupt as anything. I mean, the fact of the matter is that even my wife says, "When's their court case? What's happening with it?" And I'm like, "I think they're having it behind closed doors." And she laughed and she says, "That haven't the other teams been deducted points already?" She doesn't know jack shit about football and knows the fact that teams like the Forest and Everton are getting deducted points while City gallivant around spending oil money. It's just incredible.
Yeah. On another note, let's switch over to one other thing that happened in the first half. Rodri.
I mean, I got told off by a friend because I said, look at him going down, the sly little prick, I think is probably what I said. Cool. And then obviously got taken off injured. And they were like, how dare you celebrate someone's misfortunes? I just don't like Rodri. I do not like Rodri.
I don't think you ever wish anyone to be hurt, right? On the other hand, like, let's forget the injury. Think about the first 20 seconds of the game. I mean, he is purposely out there. I think there was 2 times in the game before his injury. He tried to get Arsenal players booked. He's a gamesman. He is Marco van Bommel. He's the modern day Marco van Bommel. Can't stand him. Cannot stand that man. He is the Ruud van Nistelrooy of Man City. I just, Arsenal fans hate him. I can't stand him. I wish him well. I hope he's not hurting in pain, but I do hope he's out for a long time. Because City are worse without him. And
they flashed up the stats to kind of say what level of performance they put in without him.
Yeah,
and I think if they had had him for the second half, I don't think we would have got. Yeah, I would have been a different game.
yeah, it'd been a different game. He's a really important piece of the jigsaw. And I mean, it didn't actually look good. Interestingly, I know I was joking, messaging, going, that's 3 to 4 months meniscus, jokingly, because I've just had a meniscus tear and a surgery, and I'm 12 weeks post-op now. I'm running, just about running now. What does that mean? Well, he was holding the back of his knee. It was his knee. He looked like he did his knee. Would you say it was his knee? It looked like his knee.
It was his knee.
He was holding the back. Now, unless it was the side of his knee, it would imply an ACL. The meniscus tear is in the joint in the middle. So I'm intrigued to know if it's meniscus, in which case he's out for a while. Either way, it didn't look good for him. So, I mean, no De Bruyne, no Rodri, but oh wait, hang on, they've got Foden, Grealish, Gundogan, Kovacic.
Yeah, they got an absolute embarrassment.
Oh no. Like, yeah, it's just disgusting how much resource.
I mean, I would say, because you talked about gamemanship maybe on his part. I read online somewhere that someone wrote that Arsenal were in the game of trying to injure him intentionally, and I just couldn't help but think, like, it was a nothing. The tangle with Partey was absolute nothingness, which I think was why I joked about, look at him rolling around with nothing, because literally there was nothing. It was like a clash of knees, I'm guessing, or maybe just a stretch too far that kind of caused it.
He got his stud stuck in the ground, I think it looked like it. It was the knee went in it was.
And look, if it
nothing to do a party.
No. And if it leads to more 35-yard punts from Kovacic outside the box, I'm all for it, because he somehow cannot hit the target. Although, was it his shot that led to the goal? I don't think it was. It might have been Diaz.
I think so.
Right, let's move on to the second half then, because that's where the real vomiting began. At least from my perspective, because I just felt incredibly sick. My title for this assessment was the gutsiest defensive performance ever, and genuinely, I think it's up there. Was it nice to watch? Fuck no, it was disgusting. It was absolutely horrible to watch. Was it resilient? Was it incredible? Was it resilient? Was it all the superlatives that we're going to come up with? Yes. Did you think? I'm going to put it to you, Jace, because the way that I took this is, it's like, I think the dagger just hurts that much more because of how late it come. Were you surprised to see us last as long as we did before they got the equaliser?
We've had a dress rehearsal. We did Brighton, and actually, I think that we were very prepared for this. I was in the ground for the Brighton game, and that hurt more. Actually, I hurt more from the Brighton game because we had chances to win it. We were still competitive at 10 men. Whereas at least when it happened with City, I kind of knew what was coming. So Brighton hurt more. But yeah, obviously it's a dagger. You know, I genuinely, I thought we were through the clear at 97 minutes. I was like, well, if they were going to score by now, they'd have done it. 97 minutes. But then to play up to 99 and for them to score in the 2 added extra minutes on top. And I did think, did our time wasting contribute towards those extra minutes that actually then created the goal? I almost felt like we might have self-inflicted a little bit there. And it did.
Maybe.
It did wind me up. And I was like, oh, don't think like that. Don't think like that.
No, don't, because I think like every club was well within their rights, and like we've been guilty in the past of not doing enough of the dark arts, enough of the shithousery, enough of the gamesmanship, like you called it earlier. So I think there is, if we hadn't have, I'm sure it could have and may have come even earlier. I don't think there's anything in that to kind of suggest that it's our own, self-inflicted wound, for example. But I looked like Man City had 28 shots in the second half. 28. They had, so I looked this up, the XG they had, no shot out of those 28 had an XG of more than 0.1. They could not, no matter how hard they tried, break it down. This is not Brighton. This is not Wolves. This is not Leicester. This is Man City, the best team, the greatest team in the world, one of the greatest Premier League teams of all time, who are on the cusp of winning. Is it 5 on the bounce? No, 6 on the bounce. It'll be if they win this one, right?
Yeah.
And we stopped them. We absolutely held them. Were it not for just a flash of probably quickness on their part from taking that corner very, very quickly and short and playing it in. And there was a lot of cramp in this team, albeit some of it gamesmanship, like you say, some of it's probably a bit real. And I'd also say that the mental commitment in this game to be that committed to the way in which you have to play and not fall into the trap at times. Because you saw, I got pretty frustrated at some points when you're seeing either Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus at the top of the pitch trying to win the ball back. And I'm like, no, just get back. Just get back. You know what you've got to do. You know the job you've got to do. And it just takes a significant amount of a mental fortitude, physical demands on the body. And I think we played the game plan, like you say, incredibly well. And I think we deserve to win. I think we deserve to win. And that's why, like you say, it's incredibly frustrating to be here and be actually disappointed with a point away at the Etihad. We were down to 10 man and drew at the Etihad, and we're upset about it. That's mental. Absolutely mental. But, you know, that shows how far I think that we've come.
Oh, we've come very, very far. I don't think we could have played any other way as well, either with 10 men, given the players we had available to us. We are primarily a defensive squad, more than an attacking squad. We've been built from the ground up, building our defense first, starting to strengthen our midfield. We've not even really got to strengthening the attack, to be honest. Havertz just fell to be a striker by chance because Jesus ran out of steam, but he was bought as an attacking midfielder. So, we've been built from the ground up to stabilize first, and now we had nothing else that we could have done. We had no keys to unlock. We had no threats.
Well, we had no opportunities. Well, I can't even. I think we had 5 touches in their half in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, it's interesting because when we watched the Brighton game, we had chance. We played quite. I think we played very intelligently against Brighton. We had Saka and Martinelli going on counter attacks, and we should have won the game. We should have genuinely won the game. We had 2 chances, very good chances to win the game against Brighton, but we couldn't do that against City. It was not impossible. It was impossible because the possession that they had and control of the game that they had. To the point they decided to take Kyle Walker off, right? Because there was actually no counter attack and he didn't need to do any sprinting. So
I mean, every time that Martinelli got like Kyle Walker did do a good job on the counter, because there were a couple of occasions where Martinelli tried, and Kyle Walker's a great defender. He's very quick, very resolute, very intelligent as well, knows what he's doing. So yeah, we didn't have anything. I would say that I like to talk about some of the performances of some of our players. You just talked about Martinelli because we've obviously both of us have gone in on Martinelli quite hard, and with cause as well. I would say questions need to be asked. There wasn't again much in this game that I think was from an attacking front that great from Martinelli, but boy did he do a job today. He was up and down. He did a lot of defensive duties, and I think he was actually having to do a lot of the defensive duties because of the way Calafiori was allowing Bernardo Silva to play in on that left-hand side. And he was continuously having to defend quite often. I think he did a really, really good job. And when we did try and release him, he also then tried his best to be released as well. Like I said, I think he was frankly shattered. Yeah, and the fact that we had an away trip in Italy on Thursday and we're playing against the champions on Sunday, I think he did a really good job. Did you see what I saw and you were kind of agreeing with me on that front?
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't need to talk about his finishing this evening because there wasn't any opportunity to finish. I will give him credit for, I think he was calm and composed in the first half. He had the cutback for, he did the intelligent thing of making the run for the free kick, caught Kyle Walker well off guard, cut back to Calafiori, really nice, calmly done. And then he got to the byline and almost set Trossard up for a goal as well. So from an assisting and attacking perspective, he is definitely we're seeing the older Martinelli come back, which is great. No opportunity to finish, so I can't critique him on not scoring a goal today because there was no opportunity for it. On the other hand, defensively, absolutely solid. Yeah, work rate, amazing. So a very, very, very strong performance from him, given the circumstances we found ourselves in. And I can see why we kept him on and we took Saka off, because he had plenty more beans in the tank.
Do you put beans in a tank, Chase?
I don't know. He had baked beans. Yeah.
Might do. Could be gas in there to make the engine go. I like it. It's
yeah,
good.
gas in the tank. No, he had electric in his battery, mate. He had the Duracell.
Go on.
I want to talk about. I just want to talk about Calafiore a little bit, because the goal was a banger. He's a bit of a maverick kind of style player. Don't know if you feel the same. I think he's going to be a character. I think he's going to be a very. He's going to be a very passionate character.
He's Italian, so it comes naturally to them. But I think he'll be a bit of a cult player. Yeah, I think he'll divide opinion a little bit, because I think that the way he plays, you saw it in this game. You kind of see both a bit zinny, if I'm honest, because you see a lot of the really.
I didn't see that.
I would say that. Well, I would say that defensively, Calafiore wasn't covered in a lot today. Granted, I think he's playing against some difficult wingers, right? And it's his first start in the Premier League for us. He's been with us for a short period of time, so I'm not going to be too critical. But he gets forward well. He gets into good positions. He drives. He runs. He carries the ball. Arteta has a mold of a defender that he obviously loves and wants. Duel winning, carries the ball, good with his feet, can defend, and he does all of those things really, really well. So I can't, I'm not going to sit here and kind of say I don't like him, because I think also he looks like a footballer. If you're watching like Italia on a Sunday morning, he just looks like an old school Italian 90s defender. And I love that, because there's been very little Italian defenders that have made it in the Premier League, and I'd love him to do well. I would love him to do well.
Well, it's going to make my wife come see Emirates, as a fact.
That's all that matters, Chase. If you switch the other side, because what did you? Again, I think Timber was really, really strong today, and again he was thrust into a different position again and could just play wherever you want to put him.
Best defender. I think he was the best defender.
Do you know
why?
Oh, surely, come on, Chase.
Well, Gabriel scored, and he did have a good defensive performance. Did you even hear anything out of Doku the whole game?
No, but I agree with you. But I actually said Doku. I think Doku is bad. I don't think he's good.
But Robert Perez said he's better than Saka.
Oh, then Robert Perez has got no idea. Because didn't he say that Saka wants to see more consistency from Saka when Saka's laid down like 20 plus G&A over like 3 seasons consistently on the trot?
Yeah.
What world planet is he living on?
I'm not sure. Arsenal legend making a bit of a, I don't know, had some controversy.
Maybe he's just trying to, have some headlines. But maybe you're right, Jace, right? Maybe you're right that he kept him very, very quiet. And that is not something that everybody does. I've not seen Doku hit the lofty heights yet. But I just also love the fact that he's very aggressive. Very aggressive.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like sit back. He doesn't let things happen. He's like, I'm gonna go and get this ball. I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna take it. And I'd be scared playing against him.
Yeah. I like. He's got pace. He's aggressive. He's got a great tackle. I can see. It depends if we sort out the left, right. Do you think he's the permanent left back and right, and White's the permanent right back, and that's the way we're going to continue to play? Because why was White on the bench?
I don't know. It couldn't have been a knock, because otherwise he wouldn't have come on and played a half. I don't think. So this is Ben White we're talking about, Jace, right? How often Ben White just plays with knocks?
He doesn't get injured, does he?
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to know why we made that decision. But he looked great on the right. It depends, I guess, if we can find a solid solution to our left back. position, right? But I mean, he had a great performance, and tip my hat. He was
It's funny
possibly
that
my man of the match. I think possibly.
I was close to saying the same. I think. Okay, so I'm gonna say no. I was close. I'm only gonna say no for one player and one player alone. That's David Raya.
Okay, yeah. Go on then.
So
Tell me about
I mean, well, there's nothing more I can say to you other than the fact that I think if I have the Jasonometer of how quickly he texts me after David Raya saves that we've saved points, it was quicker this game, Jace. It was about 7 seconds this time around. It was a David Raya performance. We like how many times we're only about 5 games into the Premier League, I think it is, and we've seen him make incredible saves every single game. He collects the ball from corners. He doesn't allow crosses into the box. He's great with his feet. He can play a long ball. He can roll it out quickly. He literally can do everything. He is, I think, the best keeper in the league. He is showing up people like Edison. Edison didn't do enough for that Gabriel goal. Ultimately, could have done more. David Raya, that would not be happening to David Raya. And he doesn't look like a big keeper either. No. He commands that box. He commands everything that he does. And again, he made some great saves. The goal was nothing to do with him. Like, there's a lot of bodies in front of that ball. And he dived for a shot that he ultimately would have saved had it not been deflected. There were some great reflex saves in this game. Some great, just diving on the ball and playing for time. I know that you said some of that maybe time wasting could have cost us eventually, but it's what you do in those situations. An absolutely incredible performance by him. And it's just good to see. I mean, I'd hope I see less of the saves because really we shouldn't be allowing these type of chances. But again, you're playing the best team in the world at the moment, so it's expected.
For me, it's the shot stopping ability. Like, we were worried. I think when we were saying Aaron Ramsdale's a better shot stopper. That's what we were saying last year. This season's going to blown that completely out of the water. The guy has improved. Like, I mean, I guess keepers don't get into their prime till their late 20s, early 30s, right? So he has improved at Arsenal. 100% he has improved. And yeah, I'd agree with your sentiment. Best keeper in the league by far this season so far. It's just a shame that last goal City scored, regardless of the result. Obviously, it's a shame for that, but it's also a shame for the performance he put in as well. I'm saying, I know.
Yeah, I mean, the first goal was nothing he could have done about either. I don't think. You're 1-on-1 with probably arguably the best striker in the world. Unlikely to save it.
Yeah, no, he had another just consistent performances. It's consistency this year for him.
We've seen enough times where Ramsdale was letting in soft shots or weird ones that shouldn't go in. And there was moments during this game with Gabriel, with Haaland headers, with pot shots outside of the box that could go and should go anywhere. That, like you say, is just saving, and his shot stopping ability is really come of age, I think, a little bit over this season, and it's 5 games.
Yeah,
it's really, really good. I don't know. Is there anything else that you think we haven't discussed, Jace? Because I think overall, we've covered what was a good draw at the end of the day.
There's a lot of bust ups. It reminded me of a little bit of the rivalry, right? It had a little bit of edge to it, like when I was growing up, Arsenal United, 90s, early noughties, and that was nice. That's good to see. I like our squad. We're quite gnarly. I appreciate that, and I think City is everyone knows my hatred for Chelsea. I don't like that club. Spurs obviously is naturally the rivals, but I feel like the last 2 or 3 years that it's just grown in intensity. And for me, it's grown since that New Year's Day game when we lost 2-1 at home.
It was a really good performance, wasn't it? We had a really good performance.
Yeah, it was like the last time Aubameyang played for us against them. But it was that point. From that point, our performances have changed, and we've just gone to this next level. I think it was like one of the last games that Aubameyang did play for Arsenal before his basically exile. But we, as a squad, from that point forward, from the point we actually got rid of Aubameyang, consistently improved. And it was that game, it was that performance that I think made us realise that we can be a team at that level. And I feel like I remember that game because I feel like the ref robbed us of the game. Rodri scored the last minute goal, celebrated right in front of the Arsenal fans in their faces. Ironically, it was the family section in the corner at the Emirates. But that for me started a rivalry. And then the fact that we, in the last 2 years, have been pushing them all the way each season, I think it's just a rivalry that it's probably more rivalry for us than it is for them, but I like it.
Yeah.
And then you've got all of the other stuff that's going on around City, which feels corrupt and unjust and not right. And it does feel very much an us against them, and we're they're the dark side of the force.
We're the white knights, Jace.
Yeah, and maybe third time lucky, maybe we'll get our title.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. That rivalry seems to be brewing. There's some funny moments just generally across this game. I think Haaland shouting to Lewis Skelly, "Who the fuck are you?" When Lewis Skelly's like squaring up to him, because I'd probably say the same. There's a bit after the game when they scored, or not after the game, but when they scored, Haaland threw the ball at the back of Gabriel's head.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's obviously some I can get there's like a rivalry because Arsenal feel like they're coming of age, they're getting to the place where they are going to take the crown from City. City are very much like, you've still not done it. How long are you going to keep saying that you're doing it when you're not doing it? So I get some of that is building. I'm looking forward to the return fixture at the Emirates because we won that one last season, albeit that again was a bit of a chess game. This game is very different. It feels like it's going to be very open, and depends what the league sits like at that time because there's still a few teams unbeaten. City, us, Forest, and Brighton. Weirdly, be interesting to see because Liverpool are probably doing, I think, exceeding expectations at the moment. Chelsea are probably up there and exceeding expectations at the moment. It's going to be an interesting season, which is why I would have really hoped that I would have the elation that would have been on this podcast for listeners and viewers had we have kept and been resolute and got the 3 points would have been off the charts.
Yeah,
here we are.
I mean, I'm feeling good. I'm just drained, man.
Imagine how they feel. The mental and physical drain, even when you're just standing in front of the telly, you're just going, I cannot. When they said 7 minutes, I was like, I cannot last another 7 minutes. My heart, my mouth, nothing can take it anymore. I'm spent. I can't imagine how they actually feel having to defend it for 55 minutes.
I hope they're getting a Nando's on the way home.
All right, well, let's end on the Nando's. Before we go, Jace, tell me, what's your spice level of choice? What's your spice level of choice?
I can go an extra hot, but traditionally I just go medium because it's spicy but pleasant.
I can do a medium. I'm glad there's no lemon and herbs here, Jace. You don't want to end on that. That would have been a nightmarish situation.
You go to Nando's for lemon and herbs.
My wife. Right. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. A bit of therapy, a bit of catharsis, and a bit of joy and not across this podcast. We'll be joining you again. Well, we've got Bolton on Wednesday. I'm not too sure if either me or Jason would really want to review that game, but let's find and wait and see. And then we've got Leicester on Saturday, 3 p.m. Saturday, 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Who would have thought it? Saturday at 3 p.m.
What's what happens when you don't have to play in a Champions League tie on a Thursday night?
That is true. Yeah. Before we go then, Jace, give me a Leicester prediction. Who do you think is going to start as the 10 and what do you think the score's going to be?
Oh, Jesus, I don't know how to answer the 10. I mean, it's going to have to be Havertz, right? Havertz and then Jesus, because it's the only option we have. I mean, obviously,
you don't think you're playing Ranieri?
Well, if he plays full game against Bolton and plays well, maybe he's got a shot. But at the moment, it's going to be Havertz and Jesus.
Okay. Score?
Yeah, I was going to say 3-1. I feel like Leicester haven't been amazing since they've been back. 3-1 at the moment. Although, actually, no, we're at home. 2-0. I'm going to say 2-0 because I think clean sheet. I think David Raya will get back on his clean sheets.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
I'm in agreement with that. I'm going to go 1-0. I don't know why. Because we don't really score many goals at the moment.
Is that because
maybe. Could be one of the reasons. Look, it's been good pod. I've enjoyed it, Jace. 2-2. Arsenal, Man City. Points shared at the Etihad as we lead into game week 6. We've got Leicester next weekend, so please do join us. If you are watching on YouTube and you've made it this far, thank you very much for joining us. As always, please do give the channel a subscribe. Please do give the video a like. And also, like I said, let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this game. Jace, if they've got the audio version of this, what do we want those people to do?
So if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, make sure you subscribe. We get the latest episode in your podcast feed when it's released. If you're listening as well, please give us a review. 5 stars, no less. Yeah. And apart from that, enjoy.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, guys.